Point 4, the City Hall flag raising. The mayor recommends the City Council limit flag raising at City Hall until a formal policy is developed and approved by the City Council. The exception to this approval should be one, the POW MI flag, which was previously approved to be raised last Friday, and the NRA flag, which was previously approved to be raised September 25th, 2020. No other applications relating to flag raisings are pending at this time. The mayor also recommends the City Council direct the city manager to develop a formal policy regarding the flag raising at City Hall. The policy should comply with the applicable laws and include references to the applicable flag code and flag etiquette that is in line with the mission statement for the City of Minot. The recommendation to Council is to approve a motion, one, with the exception of the American flag, the State of North Dakota flag, the City of Minot flag, and two previously approved flag raising requests. Cease all ceremonial flag raisings at City Hall, and two, direct the city manager to develop the formal policy regarding flag raising at City Hall.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderwoman Olsen.
I would make a motion to approve this with one edit, and my edit would be to cease the flag raisings as of last Friday.
We have a motion that is a little bit different than the recommendation, but for the raisings to be immediate. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Alderman Patagula. Discussion. Alderwoman Olsen.
Mr. Mayor, I assume that we're going to hear from a number of people very shortly, but we have heard from a number of people. In fact, I think over 130 people have reached out to me in the last 2 weeks on different sides of this issue. But one thing that they all had in common was that they felt that it should be only the 3 flags should be flying on that flagpole. That has been the request from a number of people. And so I think that this motion allows for that until we are ready to bring forth a better plan to discuss. So that's the intent of my motion, is to follow the people's wishes.
And seeing as I was the one who had brought the recommendations forward, as well as with many things, there's unwritten policy in many different forms throughout the, I think, the generalities of some of the leadership paradigms. So that was my intent as well for bringing this forward, so that there is a uniform policy and code, as well as the letter and documentation that I sent out to all of the aldermen, as well to potentially look at the prospects of a community flagpole, very much the way that the city of Fargo has one, somewhere in the community that is managed by an entity outside of City Hall, where folks can put in their application and fly for 1 day or 1 week, whatever that process is, dependent on the outline, so that it is, in a way, separation from the issues of church and state or others that have been raised, and also to address the immediate issue that came about, which was expected, that some folks decided to, I think, take advantage of the unwritten process and flood the email inbox with different applications that I would say were not respectful. So that is why I had sent out the email as well with the recommendations. Any further discussion on the motion? Alderman Pittner.
Oh, go ahead. Thank you, Mayor. I can appreciate the recommendation that you've given us. I can't support the motion as it is. I think we never had a policy in place. People came forward. We had something in not in writing. People went through the process, application, it was approved. I think it'd be a little disingenuous to go back at this point. I don't know if there's a legal ramification for going back or not, but again, we set a precedent, and I think we'd have to stick to it whether we agree with it or not. I can't support the motion as is. I would support the original recommendation brought forth by you, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Ross.
I want to say ditto, Mr. Mayor. You already gave your approval to the flag that is scheduled to be flown on the 25th. In that respect, I don't want you going back on your approval, and I can't support this motion. I can support and will support the original motion.
Further discussion. Alderwoman Olsen.
Mr. Mayor, I have been contacted with a concern for public safety related to the flying of the flag that has been approved for the 25th. And that is another reason that I am suggesting that we wait on flying that flag until we have a better policy in place.
Any further discussion? Alderman Patagula.
I guess I just wanted to ask for a little bit more clarification. I mean, obviously, without jeopardizing any, security or safety issues, but, I have mixed feelings on this. I think we need a timeout until we have some written policies. I also think if the mayor agrees to something, gives his word in a sense, we probably should honor that. But public safety is a very important concern for me, and if there is a legitimate concern, I don't remember which flag is supposed to, we approved 2. I'm not sure which one's still left to go. I guess I'd like to hear a little bit more about that. And I wonder too if the mayor feels that he would in any way be betraying, not betraying is too strong a word, but if he would be violating a commitment that he feels he has made.
Thank you, Alderman Patagula. It is the NRA flag that is scheduled to fly this Friday, and in accordance with the process that was in the unwritten process that I suppose it was in play when it was approved. I would not have an issue as a card-carrying member of the NRA. I wouldn't have an issue, seeing as things have seemed to have escalated around the community a bit. I would say with the number of constituents on both sides of the issue, I would have no problem agreeing with the motion from Alderwoman Olsen at this point, seeing as we can move forward then and draft some guidelines down the road and move forward from there. Alderman Patagula, does that answer your question enough?
Yeah, I think since you're the one who made the commitment, if you feel comfortable with going back on that, I have no problem with that.
Further discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Alderwoman Olsen.
I want to say to you personally, this is not out of disrespect for the agreement that you made, and it is not out of disrespect for the flag that has been approved. I just think that the process needs to be improved, and should the people that have made the request for this flag, if they would like to make the request later on when we have a policy, great, bring back that request at that time.
Further discussion? We have motion to approve with a second of the recommendations that are effective immediately. Please call the roll.
Olson?
Yes.
Pittner?
No.
Padragula?
Yes.
Ross?
No.
Sitma?
Yes.
Evans? Yes. Janser?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Hello, my name is Sabrina Herman, and I live at 621 Lake Street in Minot, North Dakota. And the reason this lovely lady is joining me is she is my daughter, and I'd love to yield about a minute of my time to her. She is a North Dakota resident, and until she went to college, she resides, her permanent address is my address. The only one comment I will make is I'm really saddened by the display of anger that we had last week, because I feel there are a lot of people in our community that are talented, experienced, educated, and they leave our community. And I, for one, am just really tired of that. And a lot of it is based on people not being accepted for who they are. And my daughter did drive here for 14 hours just to address you today, so I would love her to have that opportunity to read her statement.
Hello.
Name for the record too, please.
Hi, my name is Riley Helt. I lived in the Valley of Minot until I moved 4 years ago to attend the UMN Twin Cities. I'm here today to express my grievances over the commentary surrounding the pride flag being hung in the front of City Hall. I would first like to thank Magic City Equality for their proposal to have the pride flag flown, and to Councilwoman Evans for supporting this proposal and maintaining incredible composure under the extreme homophobia she's been faced with. You are someone whose bravery and courage with themselves and their sexuality does not go unnoticed. I would also like to extend a thanks to Mayor Sitma. Just being an ally in this conservative community can get you a lot of heat. I appreciate your willingness to stand for what is right and just, even in the face of bigotry. I was born and raised in Minot, someone who enjoyed the small town and its residents, but as I developed into an adult, I realized that not everyone here will be kind and accepting of differences. I moved away to go to school elsewhere, mostly due to that discomfort surrounding diversity, among other things. I felt so emboldened by the commentary I witnessed last week that I drove over 14 hours round trip to get home to address these residents. Not only as an openly gay woman, but as a born and raised citizen of Minot, I was deeply disappointed by the homophobic display put on by citizens at last week's meeting. You all seem to keep referencing the American flag and how it stands for all, yet spewing hate about the gay members under that flag. According to a 2011 UCLA study, there are over 8 million gay people in the United States. Whether you can see or acknowledge us, we exist under the same flag that you do. We are just as representative of the American flag and worthy of respect as straight people are. The hateful comments of "this is so embarrassing" and "I'm disgusted" are vile. The cherry-picked Bible quotes, alleged level of godliness we should uphold, and God finds this flag to be an abomination is laughable. I don't even consider myself a Christian, but even I know the founding principle of Christianity is to love your neighbor as yourself. Real Christians love everyone for who they are and aren't afraid of a piece of fabric that helps include all of God's children. I think that your own God would be incredibly disappointed in that intolerance shown. This type of speech is not voicing a concern, it is hate speech. When your views result in the suffering of another human being, they are no longer personal views. They are moral choices, choices to hate a group of people for being who they are. There's been some idea that these freedoms are being taken away by the representation of the pride flag, but what exactly is being taken away? What freedoms are you being stripped of? I know that as a gay member of society, I'm constantly fighting for the human right to exist. If you want to discuss freedoms being taken away, homosexuals are not allowed to adopt children under a bill attempting to be passed, number 19123. In 33 states, it is still permissible to deny Medicare and housing for gay individuals, and you can even be fired for your sexuality and any non-public job position in 28 states. Conversion therapy, a form of torture to cure people of homosexuality, is still completely legal in 29 states and endorsed by the vice president. There are 72 countries where being homosexual is punishable by the law, and 11 where it is punishable by death, as stated by the Human Rights Campaign. That's what having freedom taken away looks like. This all started as a debate over a piece of fabric that helps marginalized members in your very own community, they're right behind me, feel supported. And what it really brought out is the very serious issue here with homophobia. One of the men was quoted last week saying he felt he was trying to be threatened and intimidated by this flag. Well, the real threats are the homophobic slurs and hate crimes that happen to the LGBTQIA community every day. I fear for those living in a place where you don't know the next time you could be called a dyke, a faggot, or even worse, for simply being alive. Imagine a world where your very own existence is being constantly questioned by members of your own community. This experience of violent discomfort, name-calling, and abuse in Minot as a queer person is something that many of the LGBTQ members here can attest to as well. What seems to be the overarching issue here is not the flag, but the root of homophobia, fear. People fear what they do not know or understand, and there is a lot of miseducation around the LGBTQ community, who they are, and what they stand for here. There is no version of the LGBTQIA community that supports pedophilia in any way. This is simply untrue and a rhetoric used by bigots all around the world to undermine the existence of valid LGBTQ identities. The gay community is not some sort of evil boogeyman you paint us out to be. We are a loving, caring community based in support, acceptance, and understanding. We simply want to love and be loved just like you do. To those who have spread hate, misinformation, and slander of the gay community before or after the hanging of this flag, shame on you. To those who are supporting the hanging of the flag as well as the gay community, thank you. We will continue to need that support as long as homophobia is alive and well in Minot and elsewhere. To my gay community in Minot, you are strong and resilient. I love you all. We will not be bullied, we will not stay quiet, and we will not go away. Thank you for your time.
Name for the record and city.
Jordan Ladisser, Minot, North Dakota. Good evening, Mayor Sidma and members of the council. My name is Jordan Ladisser, and I am one of 4 co-executive directors of Magic City Equality, one of 8 of the board in total. Not only am I a part of Magic City Equality, but I'm also a board member for the North Dakota Human Rights Coalition. I am here today to speak on behalf of our board, our brothers and sisters, the LGBTQ2+ community, that is lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and/or questioning, Two-Spirit community, as well as myself. We want to thank you, before I start, we want to thank you for the pride flag raising ceremony. We will be forever grateful for this historic moment here in Minot, North Dakota. As an openly gay male and an Indigenous person, I can say we have all experienced, in our own individual shared way, what it means to be treated less than human. The history that we, Indigenous people, continue to face daily reminders of our land stolen, our slaughtered people, our exposure to disease and toxins, as well as our children taken away from our homes and forced into faith-based institutions such as the Catholic Church, in an attempt to conquer and to control us. We've had to endure dehumanizing federal policies that threatened us like misbehaving children, as if we were unable to live responsibly or make decisions for ourselves, as if we did not have the right to be treated as equals and/or as fully humans. This brings me to my point as an openly gay, Indigenous, two-spirited person. I grew up knowing that I was different, hearing the other kids call anyone who deviated from the traditional gender expectations a fag, and being called one myself throughout my adolescence, even to this day. I hadn't come out to anyone and didn't even really understand what it meant, but I knew that it was an insult. I, like many others, at an early age, we had to learn, that is, at best, that we were different, and it was the different to be under the LGBTQ2S+. And many of us are and were taught that this difference is shameful, deviant, and disgusting. We might try to hide it or even wish it away, like I did. I prayed every night, every single night, to pray the gay away. Didn't work. As we, including myself, were taught by the religious faith, we learned that even if our own family accepts us, there are still some relatives that might not, community members that might not, and we were asked to hide of who we are. So we would make people comfortable. This has taught us shame. While I know who I am today, I was not fortunate to grow up with privilege compared to my white heterosexual peers. I have been called names. I have been physically attacked. I have been raped and discriminated against for who I am and for who I love. Others have stories far worse than mine, far worse than mine. Countless LGBTQ2S people could tell stories like mine, rooted in a legacy of discrimination and bigotry that have made us feel ashamed of who we are. We hear about the LGBTQ2S people who have been physically attacked like myself, or even killed for who they are. This teaches fear. I have been told countless times to hide a part of who I am because others may not accept me for who I love, but today I stand here telling the community, telling you, as well as the people who do not approve of my lifestyle, I will no longer be silenced. I, like many of us, have found the pride and hope in the community that loves me and makes me feel welcome here. During the September 8th Minot City Council meeting, some area citizens expressed damaging views towards the members of the LGBTQ2+ community and the rainbow flag raising. Some shared disrespect towards the Minot City Council, especially Alderwoman Evans and Mayor Sipma. While we have the right to our opinion, their opinion on this matter was masked by their concerns for a flag rather than their true intentions. Hate speech, full of discrimination and bigotry towards the LGBTQ2+ community, and the attempts, once again, to instill fear into us. Many of you may not be aware, but members of the Magic City Equality received a death threat which is under investigation and to the reason why we are not present at the last public meeting. Yet again, we were allowed for these people to install fear into our mission. The LGBTQ2+ community has faced hate and fear, and we will no longer be discouraged for standing up. We will not allow the threat to determine our value and to our promise to our LGBTQ+ community. Far too long, the LGBTQ2+ voices have not been equally heard, seen, or recognized under this, and that stops now. People have mastered discrimination with cries of civil rights to suppress women, disadvantaged, people of color, people with disabilities, immigrants, gay men, lesbian, bisexual, transgender people, and intersexual people for those who have the category of other. These oppressors will no longer speak for us. Rather than we will speak for ourselves and finally make changes and progress for everyone in our community. This discrimination views no longer is representation of our community. Thank you, Council.
Name for the record, please.
Asher Hoffarth, and I'll put my legal name on the sheet just so I don't. I am a 17-year-old. I go to Magic City campus here in town. I am a citizen of Minot. I just wanted to say thank you to Carrie Evans and to Mayor Sean Sitma for flying the LGBTQIA flag. I am a transgender male. I am very proud to be a Minot citizen. I loved growing up here. However, like people before, I'm most likely going to leave just because the hatred and stuff that has been spewed towards myself and people like me and the community. I'd like also to thank Magic City of Quality. They have helped me greatly along this journey that I am on, and they will always forever be one of the home groups that I come to here in Minot when I'm back in town visiting. So I just wanted to say thank you and for representing us.
Hello, Tamara Allard, Skyline Drive, Minot. I am the owner of Biscuits and Bows Pet Spa and a very proud mother of a gay young man. I came here today because I was utterly appalled by what I saw at the last meeting. Not only that, but because my own life and the safety of my son were actually threatened by a former client of almost 10 years, actually, because she saw a photo of me on the news hugging my son as the pride flag was raised. I'm just going to do a small quote. Your son is an abomination. And the fact that not only you allow him to flaunt his sins, but support it is disgusting, and you should be ashamed. You do know I have a son who goes to school with your faggot child and can ensure his demise if I so choose. I will be waiting outside your business, locked, loaded, and ready. I hope you have good insurance on that little business of yours because I can't wait to watch it burn. People like your son are the reason we have so many issues in this country. You should invest in a Bible and read it. I will make sure hell fires upon you, your child, your business, and all of those bleeps in the fag world. You should be ashamed. Can't wait to watch the blood spill from your faggot son's face as my son beats him to death. You know what? It hurt. But you know what hurts worse? What hurts worse if we can all just imagine for one moment having to live in fear every day for just being who you are, fear of being beaten or killed, or fear of telling your family about your true self because you're scared of ridicule, being told you're sick and you need help, being kicked out of your own family or friend group because people think it's wrong when all you want is acceptance that you're different. The ability to walk down the street hand in hand with the person that you love, just as a straight person would, without being called out, ridiculed, or without the fear of your life being taken from you. As a human being, I cannot imagine having to live my life in constant fear because of who I am and who I love. People cry freedom of speech. There is a huge line between freedom of speech and hate speech. Freedom of speech sparks debate and discussion. Hate speech sparks bigotry, anger, and violence. The raising of the pride flag is not a threat to your religion or your heterosexuality. It is not saying everyone should be part of the LGBTQ plus community. It is not saying that we're here to take over the world, but it is saying that we accept you for who you are, who you love. We accept you as a human being, that you have equal rights regardless of who you are, who you love, that is saying that you're not alone. That even though we're different, we have different views, different viewpoints, different beliefs, that we accept your differences and we see you. Isn't this America? Didn't our soldiers, many who are part of the LGBTQ plus community, fight for our right to be free? I believe they did. So how exactly is it okay for straight people to be free to be who they are and love who they love, and not the people of the LGBTQ plus community? Everyone's saying the Bible says no, or the Bible says this, the Bible says that. Guess what? Not everybody has the same religion. Not everybody has the same God. Not everyone has the same thoughts, the same beliefs. So why is this still a problem?
1 minute.
Because you believe in a book that was written 3,500 years ago and it's changed God knows how many times? In the Bible, it states, love thy neighbor, not love thy neighbor only when you see fit. The people of Minot need more love in their hearts, and it's about time that they practice what they preach. My beliefs and your beliefs will always differ, and that's okay. No one is asking you to change your beliefs. We're not asking for anything other than to be treated as human beings with the same rights as everyone else, because at the end of the day, we're all different somehow. Different ethnicities, religions, genders, sexual orientation, some of us even different countries of origin. But we're all the same race. The human race, and it's about time that we start acting like it. Stop tearing each other down, start building each other up. Look past our differences and come together, because guess what? That doctor that just saved your life, she was born a man. The peace officer who protected your family member, guess what? He's gay. The fireman who saved your home, bisexual. The cook at your favorite restaurant who makes your favorite meal just how you like it, he's African American.
Time has expired.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. We appreciate Carrie Evans wherever she went to. Thanks, guys.
Name for the record, please.
Christopher Scott, Minot State University. First off, that flag represents everyone. That's not just for LGBTQ, but using that flag to discriminate, to not discriminate against them, and to use it as basically to say that they are not a part of that flag. What's wrong with raising the pride flag? What's wrong with doing that? It's a flag. It's a piece of fabric, as they say. But raising that flag in Minot, North Dakota, that means we care for it. We do not want them to leave. We do not want us to leave as young people. A lot of my friends are part of the LGBTQ community. A lot of them are attacked. A lot of them are threatened to be killed by someone else. So raising that flag means that this community cares for them, that we want them here, that we want their jobs here. We want them to work here. We want them to feel welcomed. And that is why I support that pride flag raising. And the same thing as to why I support it being raised at the university tomorrow. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Deb Hoffarth. I'm a citizen of Minot. City Council and Mayor, thank you so much for having the patience to sit through a couple of long meetings here regarding this issue. And actually, I came here today with the intention to observe, not to actually speak. I believe the city did the right thing in flying the pride flag. The LGBTQ2+ community is an important part of the community, and it's important to recognize and provide equal representation to all of the citizens within the state. I am actually Asher's mom and very proud for that. And so I've been really saddened by what I think is outright hatred shown by my fellow community members. Of all the people I've seen speak both at the last city council member and some tonight, not all, I can say that I never really felt love. I really felt that the comments are made, were not made in love. They were made in anger about the situation. And I'm just going to say I think it's a tough time for me as a Christian to listen to some of the things that have been said about what a Christian believes or does. Because I'm a firm believer that the Bible is not a weapon. It's not to be used as a weapon. It's to be used as a tool of grace. And so a Christian stands with their neighbors. They stand with the disenfranchised. The humanity of the LGBTQ community is never up for debate, should never be up for debate. And so I thank you for recognizing and supporting this community and flying the flag. Thank you.
And so he was like a great ally for us, and kind of gave us this space. Even if like a lot of other people weren't paying attention, at least it was kind of a space for us. And so I know, that was appreciated, but like,
feeling?
oh, I was pissed.
Yeah.
I was really angry. I mean, I was disappointed, but like, honestly, like, that's the exact kind of stuff I expect from Minot. Like, it wasn't shocking, but it was still disappointing. And I think for me, I was, obviously mad at those views, but I was more mad that Carrie had to deal with that, almost kind of alone, and just have these people sitting there just absolutely battering her, like she wasn't a person. I think it's pretty hard for someone to feel like they're wanted in a place where they're not even respected at their most basic fundamental rights. I mean, I can't imagine wanting to live in a place that's telling me, well, I don't think you're fit to have children because of your sexuality, so I'm going to make it law that you can. Like, I just think people who feel it's just a law, it's just legislation. Like, no, it's my life. Like, that's my real everyday life that I live. Like, it's not just legislation, it's not just words, it's not just a bill. It is my actual livelihood and life that is being affected.
We were scared, we were hesitant, but we knew we had to go. We knew it was not only an obligation to ourselves, but also to our community. And we had to show to the LGBTQ2+, just because someone threatens you, you still need to stand up for what is right, and the conviction of the purpose itself. Listen, I've been bullied. I would say just about everybody on that board has been bullied all of their lives, and or has been hurt in some way or form because of who we are. We decided that enough is enough, and we are not going to take this beating kind of lying down. My speech, I could hear the roars outside of people clapping and screaming and support. And it wasn't until a couple of days later that I actually had somebody who I count as a mentor, who then later, called me and stated that your speech was not only powerful, but it helped change the system.
I had told some people here and there, and it rumored for quite a while, especially during sophomore year. I got a lot of harassment from teens, and it was just an overall not a very good experience, but I have some very good supportive friends, and the school has been helpful through the whole experience too, so that's been good. So it took me a week to watch the 2-hour council meeting of people speaking out, because I'm I feel my emotions very intensely. So I took my time and I watched it in pieces because I needed time to process what people were thinking. I'm a very person and I try to understand people's perspectives, so I would think about it and I would journal about how these people were feeling, and some people I couldn't tell if they were just uneducated or if they actually felt this way. And then when I heard Carrie Evans, when she spoke out about this, and when I watched it, I felt like there was some hope for our community, and that there are people, maybe not in my representatives, in the bigger council, but there are people that are still going to stand up for us. It's not just going to be there's people out there that still care. And it gave me a little bit of hope. It's generally of finding a family restroom. There's one in the mall. There isn't any in Target. Walmart used to have a family restroom. It doesn't have anymore. And then there's only a couple of other businesses, and I try to not use the bathroom in restaurants because that's usually where it's worse at.
I ended up getting a Yorkie, which was a huge change for me. I'm a big dog person. And when I got him, he was the size of a pop can, and I didn't trust anybody to groom him, so I started grooming at home. And then grooming at home led to grooming friends' pets, led to finding a passion for it, and then going to grooming school.
Yeah.
But I was so angry and disgusted and just honestly scared, because I'm like, I did not realize that there was this many people that really genuinely hated the LGBTQ. I did not realize it. I haven't seen him in a little bit, but there for a while. I was seeing him like every week or two.
Okay.
We have our convos. I think we chat more through text than we do anything, but I love that kid. The mayor was wearing a bulletproof vest after all of this.
He was?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, oh, how did you hear that? I didn't hear. I haven't heard that.
I saw him wearing it.
Oh, like just
And
out and
he
about, or like at a.
No, it was outside of where they have the meetings, town hall. He was walking to his car, and somebody had gone, "Oh, you look a little beefy," and he goes, "It's Kevlar or something like that," and he tapped his chest, and you could see it whenever he stood up. It was bulletproof.
Oh wow.
So I mean. He actually approached me outside and told me that what I had to say was, first of all, very well written, came from a place of the heart, and that he is sorry for the hate that he has said. And that he also had said to me that he wants to do better. He didn't say it in those terms, but ultimately that he wants to do better. And of course, God bless you.
Sure. Was it the next day?
Yeah, in the morning I woke up and it was like the phone was blowing up. There was messages, email, it was just, I was like, holy cow. And it first started, of course, like you would think, like with Minot, and then, it got a bit larger to the other communities in North Dakota. Then, as the week progressed, like by Friday, it was like, from all over the country. And then over the weekend, it started like, oop, it must have hit Australia, because I get like a bunch of emails from Australia. And it would just, for 2 or 3 weeks, it was just thousands of, my voice mailbox was filling up in 15 minutes. I had to clear it out every half an hour because it was filling up so quickly. It was, I guess I understood the concept of viralness on an abstract level, but to live in the middle of a moment becoming internationally viral was just surreal. It was just it's just wow. And one of the things by that Friday, because I was starting to get messages from young queer folks or queer folks who had left North Dakota the same as I had, and or just left their small towns in Kansas or wherever it is, and talking about what it meant to them to see an elected official, a person, stand up proudly and strongly for our community, and the difference that could have made to their 16-year-old self.
So, this meeting, the second meeting happens. I don't know if you were in the chambers for this, because, at the end of this, speech, it's a Tamara Allard's speech.
Yep.
She makes a mention that, she appreciates you wherever you are, and she points to your seat, but, I don't see whether you're in the room or not.
I had to, Tamara has a gay son, and when she was reading the the email or whatever correspondence she got from the person, basically saying that person wanted to see, you would not mind having the blood of her faggot son on her hands. I had to get up. I mean, I went straight back to Matthew Shepard on the post in Wyoming. I literally, I could not. I was having a total traumatic moment when she said those words, the blood of your faggot son on my hands. And I walked out the side. There's a door to a roof, and I stayed there until I felt composed enough to come back inside. I had to deal with my feelings that I felt when Matthew was murdered.
How did you feel? Oh, sorry.
No, I mean, I was actually very surprised that those feelings were still so present in my soul.
Can you know, maybe it's hard to know what you authentically felt in that moment since it was so long ago, but were you in Maryland at that point? Or were you still in North Dakota when Matthew Shepard was murdered?
I was in Louisiana.
How did when that news broke, what was going on in your life and how did you feel in that moment, if you recall?
I felt like I think a lot of other queer people felt our life is fair game, right? Like our life and our death is fair game, and there will be no consequences, and it's okay to kill us just because we're queer. And that's a really scary feeling, particularly when you're, I was living in Louisiana in Baton Rouge, not New Orleans, where, hate crimes are rampant, and, it just really, resonated that our lives really are expendable simply because of who we love.